Hypercoaster is the aptly named Hypercoaster at the Land of Legends theme park. I think this is the best coaster in all of Turkey. Further, I think this may actually be the best of the Mack hypercoasters. I will explain why in this review. Over the past decade, Mack has begun offering hypercoasters, but these have been quite different from those from other manufacturers. They have offered more diverse layouts combining conventional airtime hills with inversions. There currently are 3 operating layouts out there. The first was Flash. This opened at Lewa Adventure in China in 2016. This ride most notably opened with the world's tallest vertical loop. In 2017, Warner Bros. Movie World in Australia opened DC Rivals Hypercoaster. This is the lone operating Mack hypercoaster without any inversions, but this ride truly stands out for incorporating a unique backwards seat on the end of the train. In 2024, Thorpe Park in England opened Hyperia. This is the most compact Mack hyper by far, but it features some truly insane elements. It features my favorite first drop anywhere, and some of the craziest inversions on the planet. A clone of Flash opened in 2018 at Land of Legends. This Turkish park originally opened in 2016 with just a large water park and shopping mall, but it was later expanded in 2018 to have the Adventure World theme park. Anchoring this area would be Hypercoaster, the tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster in Turkey. This ride looks amazing on the skyline. It runs alongside the back edge of the property. You can see the towering hills and inversions from anywhere within the park. Then the color palette really pops on a sunny day. You have blue track with green supports. The rest of the presentation is a bit of a mixed bag. For one, the name is not very original. For a ride this epic, it deserves a name that is unmistakable. However, when I say hypercoaster, most people think of the general ride type, not this specific attraction. The ride is very loosely themed to a train station. The building containing the entrance looks fantastic and truly conveys this. It is grand, with large turrets and stained glass windows. However, when you walk inside, you will find a shop and an arcade. The entrance for Hypercoaster is actually tucked in the corner of the arcade, underneath an air hockey sign no less. Very bizarre. Then the physical queue is 2 parts. The first area contains the switchbacks. This part looks like ancient ruins, so it doesn't really fit in with the rest of it. You have some stone walls overgrown with ivy. The second part of the queue is a long straightaway. On your left side, you have a full train and some animatronic workers tending to it. I love how this looks. On the right, you have a nice looking wall continuing the aesthetic of the main building. Now, the station building itself looks a bit odd, not necessarily in a good way. The exterior looks abandoned, which contrasts with that initial building that looks grand and really nice. This station has walls that are intentionally painted to look faded or worn, with different colored bricks showing in spots. Then the interior continues that worn look in some of the walls. Other walls have these wooden barn windows. Then worst of all, you have these large over-the-top signs with smiley face emojis advertised in the on-ride video packages. This felt like something I'd see at a Six Flags park, and that is not a compliment. In all likelihood, you probably will not have to wait long for this ride. The park owns 2 trains. Each seats a max of 24 riders, as it is comprised of 6 cars with 2 rows of 2. The park was using just one the day I visited, but that was fine for the crowds, even with it being a summer weekend. Usually, you would board the next train. At most, the line stretched to a 2 or 3 train wait by the afternoon, but it moved fast because the park would load and dispatch the trains at a nice clip. The biggest operational con is how they load this coaster. The operators will admit just enough people into the station to fill the next train, no more, no less. Seating is on a first-come basis, and they always start with the fast-track skip-the-line queue. These guests almost always select the front row. When I used the standby lane early in the day, I asked to wait an extra cycle for the front row when it was already occupied. The operator said I could, but they couldn't guarantee I'd get it if anyone else came up the fast-track queue. Sure enough, someone did, and they selected the front. I tried waiting once again, And the same thing happened once again. I get prioritizing the fast track queue and allowing them to board first, but it's unfortunate they can essentially override any row requests that come from the standby queue, even if those in standby have already waited an extra train. I would love if they revised this policy in the future, or just at minimum had a dedicated space to wait for the front or back seats. I ultimately ended up purchasing Fast Track, primarily for the water park, which was slammed, but it had the benefit of getting me whichever seat I wanted with Hypercoaster. If you have Fast Track, you can wait an extra cycle for your preferred row, and you're guaranteed to get it. There is not a bad seat in this coaster, but the front and back cars offer slightly better forces. Of the two, I had a small preference for the back, but I ultimately ended up splitting my rides fairly evenly between the front and back rows. These trains are identical to the ones on Mack's newer thrill coasters. You have open trains with raised seats and overhead lap bars. These are very comfortable and allow you to fully experience all the forces. One final operational note before going into the layout: glasses are not allowed, even if you have an athletic strap. This policy is common across most of the thrill rides in Turkey. Once checked, you have a 200-foot or 61-meter tall lift hill. You get a fantastic aerial view of the whole resort off to your right, and this place is really pretty. Once at the top, you have a twisting first drop. This is not as steep as the drops on DC Rivals or Hyperia, but Hypercoaster still has an exciting plunge. You get good to great laterals on the twist itself. They are a bit better on the right side, since you have to twist further. And they're also superior in the back, since you take the twist with more speed. I also like how you get some solid floater in the back before hitting that twist. Then the pullout exerts strong positive Gs. This is a repeated theme on many of the valleys on the outward leg. Next is the ride's record-breaking vertical loop. This wraps around the lift hill, which is a really cool visual both on and off ride. It also offers lovely forces. The entrance continues the high positive Gs of the prior valley, so I would often gray out here. Then the train loses just enough momentum at the apex to offer some sweet hang time. The rapid switch away from positive Gs is quite jarring in a good way. You then fly over a large camelback. This offers super sustained airtime throughout the day. The exact strength will vary upon when you ride it. My early rides in the front offered nice floater, but by the afternoon, the same seat was offering genuine ejector. All day, the rear rows offered ejector airtime. It just improved from good to great as the ride cycled more and more. Now it's worth noting this hill has a trim on it, but I never felt it engage. There are a few trims later in the ride that slow the train slightly, but the elements all hit, so they're not a bother for me. I think the purpose of the trims is that the coaster offers a consistent experience year-round, rather than offering a noticeably wilder ride in the warmer summer months than the cooler fall months. Next is a banked camelback. In back, this consistently offered weak float over the top. Then the train is yanked downwards, getting some additional floater airtime. In front, this is another element that improved as the day progressed. I got decent ejector on my morning rides, but once again, that had turned into genuine ejector airtime by the afternoon. You then charge over another large hill. This offers very strong and sustained ejector airtime all day long, regardless of your row. This is the ride's single best airtime moment in my opinion. That is even with a trim on the ascent sapping a smidge of speed. It feels like one of those classic camelbacks from an Intamin Hyper. This leads to a banked turnaround. This offers more sustained Gs. They are okay in power. I would have liked it if the descent offered some negative Gs as well, but this element is all about the positives. Next is the second and better of the two inversions, the 0 G roll. This flip is wild, since it offers laterals and negative Gs simultaneously. You get excellent laterals in all rows. The floater airtime varies by row though. In front, you levitate through the entire element. Meanwhile, your torso is also forced to bow forwards at the apex. In back, you don't get the same bowing effect, but you get even stronger floater throughout. You then have back-to-back bunny hills. The first offers solid flagector in all rows. And it also dives beneath an earlier camelback, offering a surprise head chopper. The second offers briefer but stronger airtime. You get nice ejector there in front, and decent ejector in the back. That is even with another trim sapping some of your speed here. Now it is time for the finale. I had heard it was a bit disappointing, but I thought it worked. It stays low to the ground, so you have good speed here. It sort of reminds me of the finish on Hyperion on Energylandia. You start with a low bank turn. This offers solid positive Gs. Immediately afterwards is an S-bend. The side-to-side shift offers a fun lateral jolt, especially since the laterals occur as you narrowly pierce through some supports, so it genuinely feels like you'll smack into them. Then, there's another quick bank turn. This is weirdly jittery in the back, but it offers respectable positive Gs in all rows. Then, you jump upwards into the brakes. This offers a decent pop of airtime in front, an okay floater in the back. You then decelerate and have 2 separate brake runs before returning to the station. This ends the 4,177 foot or 1,273 meter long coaster. While that track length may look a tad short relative to some other hypercoasters out there, this ride has plenty of elements in duration. In terms of pacing, this ride excels. It is fast start to finish, and every element hits in some way. Most offer great negative Gs, but there are other elements that mix in some positive Gs and laterals as well. In terms of smoothness, this ride is very smooth overall. The only slightly rough part is that final turn in the rear rows, but that's only a minor nuisance. Most of this coaster and most rows track like butter. So what would I rate Hypercoaster? I would give this coaster a perfect 10 out of 10. This is everything I want from a mega coaster. It is fast, it is fun, and it is forceful. I love the strong and sustained airtime, especially since it comes in so many different flavors. Then the ride also throws in 2 awesome inversions and some fun twists. I really like how this coaster mixes in these unconventional maneuvers to stand out from traditional mega coasters. Is Hypercoaster the best of the Mack Hypers? This is probably a hot take, but I think so. I think DC Rivals is a superior start and finish. I absolutely love the sustained ejector airtime there, particularly on that twisting first drop. But the pacing lags in the middle. The bank turns and helixes there are merely decent. That is why the layout reminds me so much of Expedition G-Force. Hyperia also has stronger elements on average than the Hypercoaster. Heck, those first 4 elements may be my favorite sequence of any roller coaster. However, that ride is incredibly short by mega coaster standards. Hypercoaster offers the most balanced experience of the 3. The elements are consistently excellent start to finish, unlike DC Rivals, and it has plenty of length, unlike Hyperia. But which ride you prefer probably comes down to personal preference. For me, I give the nod to Hypercoaster. Those are my thoughts on Hypercoaster at Land of Legends. What are your thoughts on this ride? Is it your favorite of the Mack Hypers? Likewise, do you think it's the best coaster in all of Turkey? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.